Hello guys, this is PBL and today it's a final installation of the videos regarding mistakes from the tournament, tata-steel tournament in Holland. And today I will present you another two final examples from that event, how great people, how great players are making human mistakes. And my first example would be the game between Wang Hao and Anand, Visha Anand. And it was final day, last day of the event. Obviously, after playing 12 rounds, all players kind of got exhausted. And as well as Visha Anand, who's been chasing Aronian for second place in this event. And the last round, he had black pieces to deal with, very strong, very dangerous Chinese Grandmaster Wang Hao. And after 24 moves, they had reached this position in which Anand had to make a decision. I mean, clearly this position had no problem in general for Anand to defend, and everyone was kind of expecting, as a result, to be drawn here. It was surprising to see how Anand went down, I would say, fairly quickly. And I think this is the most important moment of the game, one of those key moments of the game, which I picked to discuss, because I believe the road to downhill by Anand starts from here. In this particular case, in this particular position, he went here, knight d7, and I believe that's the mistake which broke one of endgame rules. The way to go here for black was, I think, by my opinion, and then I checked with obviously engine. I have seen this move right away, by the way. I don't know why and how Anand missed this stop, because I'm sure he considered that move. Rook b8. And I have to explain to you why I thought this is the move, has to be made here, has to be played here. There are several principles followed by this move. Principle A, we have basically one bishop in a game, and that bishop is light color, and I would like to keep my pieces on opposite color of squares. We found the principle is called ignoring enemy's bishop. So anytime when you do have one piece in a game, let's say bishop and other major pieces in a game, your main priority is make sure his bishop wouldn't have any connection between your pieces, with your pieces, all right? And the most important principle, which I have to mention here, why this move was so important to do, it's we play complex endgame with combination of having major pieces as a rooks and minor piece as a knight. In this type of situations, when you do play complex endgames, the value of your position always comes first from activity, from productivity of your rooks, of your major pieces. In this particular case, you will have to first kind of care about what do I do with my rooks first, and then thinking about what to do with your minor piece. Unless improving your minor piece in this particular case would be so much obvious, so catchy, and then you're going to make that move first. And also, final principles here. In one of my games, if you will check one of my games against Jessica Rai, when I played in Arena tournament a couple years ago, the game definitely in my collection, in my library, I actually explained a strategic situation when these two pawns dealing with one pawn here. And I always said, in these particular cases, it's really important for defensive side, making sure these two pawns wouldn't advance too deep. And that's why playing rook b8, immediately placing your rook in front of pawn on b4, kind of stopping the movement of white's pawns, was so important for black to do. And the next step, let's say if I'm going to play something like this, defend my pawn, right? Because, nothing wrong with b5, by the way. There is nothing wrong. The only reason why it could be not right, because there is some kind of issues with dark squares could be applied here. And usually white prefer to keep the pawns on the dark squares since they have a light color bishop. It's kind of controlling more squares, right? So a3, and I think the setup which kind of has been missed by Anand, the way how he played, he kind of tried to move his knight through f8 to f6. But I think f6 square in general belongs to king. And then I think what you do, you're going to play king f6, you're going to play g5, you're going to stop this movement. And then this guy actually could go simply to g6 and jump either to f4 or e5. So I think that's the important principles here for black to follow. You can obviously play here g5 first and then king f6. The point is, like several principles of defense. I'm not going to touch my pawns because I believe these two pawns stand nicely right now. They took away the squares, light squares from enemy's bishop. And I think I'm going to start to play by dark squares, firstly placing my own pieces on dark squares, making sure enemy's bishop, again, wouldn't have any connection to attack my pieces. So I think that's the mistake has been made by Anand. He played here knight d7. Now we can see white pawns on the queen side kind of has been advanced, and now we have some issues here already. I mean, not the big time issues, but I already believe white has a slightly better position here. And again, I thought it's really important for black to play rook b8 and to meet b5 by playing something like rook b6, trying to, keep my eyes on the queen side. And I think e5, after e5, I believe, we call this a pseudo-active move, when you believe you're going to make activity in the middle, and looks like you're going to make activity in the middle. But these type of situations were, unfortunately, slightly passive defense was smarter for black to do than active defense. Because as more you push your pawns, for instance, right, you're going to give up more squares, and this bishop will be more active here. So f3, rook d8. So definitely Anand going kind of down just because he's using the wrong plan. Yeah, by the way, king f2 wasn't that strong, but still. And I believe if even here, if black will stay, they kind of be okay. If they would stay here and not to play e4, something like, again, this is my personal opinion. It might be wrong, but this is what I believe. If they would play something like this, just stand up, These pawns are kind of controlling all possible squares. I think by playing e4, a little bit gives white some subject to attack. And after capture, fe, yeah, this is another, I can say, probably fatal mistake by Anand. He took it by de pawn, and basically he gave away this important square, and this king started to be disturbing. I think the right move here was definitely go knight e4, trying to basically propose a trade of the bishop with knight and play that endgame, and trying to follow the rule, or famous quote by German grandmaster Siegbert Tarach, who said rook endgames are not winnable. So to hoping here to escape or draw. I believe here actually black still has a chance to make a draw. But another inaccuracy had been made by Anand, and after de, bishop c4 check. Again, it's understandable Anand played for a win because he was desperate to play for a win in order to catch second place, to catch the Iranian. He had, by the way, great tournament. He had, after this moment, he had +4 score going to the last round, and he missed a couple other games. One of those games I would present to you when he didn't win against former Chinese world champion Hu Yifan, when he was clearly winning and he missed simple win there. It was in one of my previous videos, and this time, yeah, I guess desperation fact pushed him to the edge. He's been trying to keep peace in a game, and I think he broke kind of one of his own law, because Anand's been always playing by positions. He one of those guys who had never played over press. Not never, but at least trying to. And at this time, I guess he just pushed too hard, too much. So bishop c4 checking g6. Now we have some issue with knight. He played king h7, so king kind of wasted 2 moves, and he went to the bad position. And as you see, Wang Hao, this is a great move, taking away d5 square, making sure this guy is simply restricted. And he is restricted because no checks from d5, no checks from g4. And now after rook c5, I think now we clearly talk about advantage by white here. Rook d7. White has easy plan, guys. Easy plan. They're simply going to push the pawns on the queen side. They don't mind to simplify position, because anytime when they propose a trade, black can't really trade the pieces, because any trade will make that bishop to be more stronger. and these 2 pawns will definitely got it easy to be promoted. So black has to keep pieces in the game. And now after rook c7, I think already black in big trouble. Now Anand seeking for some kind of tactical solution and escape, but look at this strong move, bishop e6. It's absolutely monster move. I mean, maybe white could play something else, but I think a relocation of this bishop to be on f5 and hit this diagonal, very powerful idea. Very powerful idea. And after bishop e6, I think the last hope for black was to make a check from the tree, kind of, looking for some complications. But Anand play here, probably last inaccuracy, last mistake. And after this game is not anymore holdable. World champion simply went down. And after a few moves, just want to show you those moves. Quickly to finish the game. Bishop 7 check this. Anand tried to activate his king and create some, again, complications, but very cold blood move bishop c4 to protecting this diagonal. Kills the game. This pawn on a7 way too strong, and I know I'm trying to create some meeting net, but nothing worked out, and his last hope, desperation, and finally, after this, there is nothing to play, and Anand simply resigned because there is no f to check. I mean, you can officially play f to check, but what's going to happen? I'll take it, and then make a check. I'll take it. I'll queen. I'll make it this, followed by that, and game is over. So, yeah, that's how Anand lost this game. And again, he didn't make obvious mistakes, but he did make mistakes. And I want again to point out what those mistakes. First principles, when you play this complex endgame, like played Anand in this position, I guess his most important priority was to make sure these 2 pawns on the queen side would be that much advanced. And I think he's supposed to be stopping them from being more advanced. And the next mistake, I guess he simply chose the wrong plan. He thought maybe, it's important for his knight to be on f6 to support his pawn and push his pawns. But I guess I'm not saying he misunderstood. Clearly, Anand is a great chess player, a world champion. It's happening because we're all humans. He just made the wrong plan. He chose the wrong plan just because, in this particular case, unfortunately, choosing slightly more passive defense was more important for black than to being a super aggressive. Because as more you push your pawns, as more squares you are going to give away to your opponent's bishop. Because don't forget, opponent still has this very strong bishop, and the bishop is in general a better piece than knight. All right, and I'm going to show you probably another example here quickly. And that's the second example of my final installation regarding this not typical mistakes, kind of tragicomedy mistakes in endgames by great players from Tata Steel tournament. And this is the 8th example, the last example. As you realize, each my video has 2 examples, and this is the final round of Tata Steel. And I've been talking about chase between Anand and Aronian for second place since Magnus Carlsen just pulled up great record by getting a 10 point out of 13. So Anand kind of failed to play against Van Gaal, and Aronian been playing against Caruana, who had a very bad tournament, who clearly wasn't in shape. And so everyone was expecting a fight, obviously, and everyone was thinking if Aronian will win this game, this is going to be one of the greatest comeback in the history of this modern chess, because not anyone from those elite chess grandmasters could start the event by losing and making -1, and especially by losing pretty much I'm not saying embarrassing way, but very bad way to Anand. and then actually finding some strength in his side, and then pulling already like a 5 wins. And going for this final round, Aronian had the record by 1 loss and 5 wins, and if he will win this game, he will get a win number 6, which is like amazing. So, and after 46 moves, they had reached these positions, clearly better for black. And again, my expectation, Aronian just simply got tired. In fact, Aronian had missed several wins in this event. He missed a win against Karyakin. He didn't win this particular game. But he had a couple like bright sides, couple bright games in this event by winning a very interesting game against Nakamura and winning like amazing endgame I would show to you against Lekov. And here, my former student, Levon, made a mistake. He played rook h5 by dealing with these positions way too slow. And again, maybe it's a part of his calculation mistakes, I'm not sure, but b4 was so obvious here to play. And again, maybe one day we will hear Levon Aronian what he says, why he missed this, like most obvious move, which everyone was almost screaming, b4, b4, b4. I have no idea. It's very simple. It's very like human, and there is nothing wrong to push your pawns. White clearly behind by considering to take this pawn because this guy is way too advanced and you can't really defend this. I think the best practical chance to do something like rook a1, try to, activate the rooks and make a check from the back rank. But then when I put this position on Houdini actually gives a very simple solution. It gives c2, following important principles to keep my pawns on dark squares while I have a light color bishop. And let's say after this, pretty much it's hard for white to defend this position. I mean, if you play rook a8 here, I'm going to play c2 and rook b8. I'm going to play this. So, I mean, I don't know. Pretty much it's very hard. Like I said, if you're going to play, I even don't know what to suggest. You can't play rook ec8 because c1 queen followed by king b8. If you play here a rook bc8, then this guy will run. If you're going to play here rook eb8 check, then I'm going to play this. And if you're going to play, let's say, rook c8 check, then I'm going to play that. And I'm going to keep running and keep making improvement, and I think game is over. Honestly, I've been trying to understand why Aronian didn't play that moves, and I couldn't find any answer. Seems like he simply has some kind of blackout. He thought white has some chances to survive. Maybe after before, he thought white has this move, a rook e5 move. But this is also clearly bad because I can take on e5 and play b2 and win the game. So for now it's become a mystery what happens with Aronian, why he missed this easy shot, why he didn't play before and he didn't win this game. I guess we're going to find out very soon. But again, Aronian played very slowly here. He played rook h5. He kind of followed the rule by improving his rooks. But after this, he gives like very important counterplay to Caruana by having this pawn f, which actually this pawn makes so much difference in the game. And because of this pawn f, black was always distracted by concentrating on promoting the pawn on the queen side. And finally, I mean, they agreed for draw after playing this position like over like 60 moves. So I hope you understand this like the last final examples, the principles about if you're strong, use your strength, and your strength was your pawn to the queen side. Every time when you're playing these positions, you're responsible to immediately kind of show your strength, dictate the pace of the game, making sure your opponent will be doing whatever you said to him to do. And I think, again, I personally believe Aronian simply got tired after this long run, after this long event, and he simply kind of dealt with some kind of blackout, and he missed this easy shot before, and unfortunately he didn't win this game. But he still got second place because Anand did even worse. Anand, as I told you before, Anand actually lost his game against Lang Hao. All right then, we done. I'm done with this short series of lectures regarding like Tata Steel tournament mistakes in this event. And yeah, I'll see you soon, and soon you will be seeing new stuff by me, and I hope you like it. All right, have a great day.